Welcome to the JAMODI podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. Coach, it's so cool to get to listen to your story and kind of, because I've been such a fan of yours for a long time and competing against you and now watching you, and just to see the dots kind of connect on that map and how, so many people want to have teams that play as hard as yours and have a chip on their shoulders like yours, but it started with you, how you were as a high school player, the town that you grew up in, and then the jobs that you started in. And the fact that I love the fact that with that ladder, my immediate thought was when you showed it that you go up and you practice cutting the neck, because that's what we're going to do here. But you actually start at the bottom and you talk about you're going to fail quite a bit. But the biggest thing is don't quit. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. No, I don't. This year we cut two nets down. One, our conference tournament championship against Cincinnati, and then beating Oregon State in the Midwest Regional. And they gave me a pair of scissors when we did the Oregon State thing. And like everybody else, you get a piece of the net, or I think I got the net here somewhere. But we never talk about the destination. I focus on the trials and tribulations of journeys. It's a journey, and at the end of the day, that's what you remember. It's like Scott at Baylor. I was at Oklahoma when he started. I remember. I don't remember it was 3 or 4 years. I remember his first year, his second year, his third year. If it was a fourth year, I remember what it was like. So when we played them that Saturday, there was a different appreciation for me playing Baylor than maybe other people. I thought about, the Montana Tech, the 18 consecutive losses at Washington State. Because Scott had gone through that too. He knew. Nobody. Everybody talks about the rebuilding job we did here. Doesn't compare to what he did at Baylor.
Yes, sir.
It just doesn't. Unless you were there.
Yeah.
You'll never fully understand it. But as an opposing coach, I remember at the end of Dave's years, he had pretty good players. Baylor was kind of on the way. They were going to be good.
Right.
And then whatever happened. And then Scott comes in and, it's the toughest thing for him from the opposing coach's standpoint. And I know nothing about the inside, is that our league was so good.
Yes, sir. It was.
That there's, Texas and Oklahoma State and Tech, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska. There was nobody to beat.
Yep.
If you didn't have a good team, you're going to get beat every night. It's kind of like my teams at Washington State. We couldn't beat anybody. We tried hard, but we just weren't good enough. And that's what that Baylor team was like. And then, but brick by brick, man.
Yeah.
That's how this thing works. You do it brick by brick. If you do it brick by brick, Matt, it stays. Coaches that want to take shortcuts in building their rosters.
Yeah.
Their houses usually are built in sand.
It catches up to them.
Yeah. If you do it the right way, sustained success means that you build a program.
Mm-hmm.
One hit wonders means you just had a good year. So Scott has built a great program, and that program's been built on his culture.
Yeah.
Culture is a word that's a synonym. It's sounds the same to everybody, but has different meanings.
Yes, sir.
Scott, I don't know how Scott built his culture. Like most people don't know how we built our culture here, or how Mike has built his at Duke or Tom at Michigan State. But those the programs that year after year, they're going to be good. Have gotten kids to buy in, and the head coach knows exactly which road he wants to go to. If you don't know where you're going, then any road will take you there.
Yeah.
And those coaches that know exactly what road to take.
My senior year at Baylor was Coach Drew's first year, and we had 6 scholarship players. And like you said, to play against teams like yours, Rick Barnes at Texas and all those. And it was difficult, but I really resonated with your team of 7-22 because we were 8-21 and it was the most successful team I've ever played on. Just because we showed up and we played hard and we didn't quit when most people wouldn't have blamed us for quitting. And so I really appreciate you sharing that story. I think it'll resonate with a lot of people out there.
Yeah, our first year here, we went 13-19. I've been married to my wife for 41 years, I think 42 in June. And she's never asked me to have, she's just a great coach's wife. She's been every step of the journey. She deserves as much success about this stuff. Credit for success as anybody. But she asked me, would I get a ball signed by that team? Because at the end of the year, our starting three to start the year was our point guard. We had, when I took this over, we're in an age where kids just transfer, right?
Right.
All the best players transferred. And, there was no transfer portal then. If there'd been a transfer portal, we wouldn't have went 13-19 probably. But, we just picked the pieces up and said, we're going to build a culture that's going to start this year. Here's why we're going to do it. If we lose games along the way, then so be it. I don't care. Sometimes young coaches are afraid to lose, whereas veteran coaches aren't. I'm not afraid to lose a game if it means that it comes down to, pushing our culture through. But that team won its last 4 games, and then we lost to Tulsa in the conference tournament, and they were an NCAA tournament team that year. But they never quit, a lot like that Washington State team. Those 2 teams were great kids. One of the kids that impressed me so much, I inherited him. I hired him as part of our staff. Wow. As I said, your character and maturity, leadership this year should be rewarded. So I hired him as a grad assistant. I moved him up. Now he's a full-time assistant at Lamar. But,
thank you. Thank you for remembering those players and remembering those teams and guys like you and guys like Coach Drew. I think that's why you're successful everywhere you go, and you've been able to build these strong programs. Is because you don't forget the foundation pieces. I really appreciate that about you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.